Wow. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? That sounds like an intro to me. Welcome to the Saturday show. This is the pinnacle of our week of broadcasting, and I'm so thrilled you guys are here to join me. Hope your weekend's going wonderful. It's great to see all you guys piling in, coming to say hello and see what the hell's going on here. We've got an exceptional show lined up for you guys, of course. I am going to be piloting the craft, but I do have a co-pilot tonight, and joining me is a longtime friend of the show, like going back to the beginning of the Paranormal Portal. You know, he was always been a part of our community. He is also a host in his own right. He is a long-term co-host on Freaky Friday with Kev Baker, God rest his soul, and Naysay's always been a longtime friend of mine, and I'm just thrilled he could join us tonight because Jimmy couldn't make it, and I was like, you know, we haven't had Naysay on forever, so it's time. It's time to get Naysay back in the saddle and come back in and join us. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the show our longtime friend, Mr. Naysay. How you doing, brother? I think he's still muted. I'm not sure he's unmuted yet. Hopefully I didn't lose him. Naysay, you still there? Ruh-roh. Not sure what's going on. Let me take a look. Yikes. Hi, Portal Mom. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in and joining me. And we got to get Naysay on the horn here, so just hold on a sec while I troubleshoot this. Looks like we did lose him. So we're going to have to get him back here. Hopefully he can rejoin us. Re-click your link, Naysay. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, we don't have Naysay, unfortunately. Huh. Well, I'm going to have to, hopefully he'll call back in. I don't know what happened here, folks, but it's the portal. This is the way things work sometimes, unfortunately. There he is. He's coming back. Hopefully he'll be live with me soon. Mr. Naysay, are you there?
Hello.
There you are.
Hello. Ground control.
To Major Naysay.
Wow, that was weird. I guess I don't understand Zoom quite yet.
That's okay.
I was all excited, tapping what I think is the unmute button.
Yeah, that's
Next
right.
thing you know, I'm gone into the ethos, into the cosmos, into the universe. But
I'm glad
like
you're
a
back.
magnet.
Magnetism.
Steel.
Yeah, magnetism is a powerful force, and I'm glad you found your way back because I was talking to nobody there for a couple seconds. But
The story of my life.
oh, stop it, you silly man. No, we got a full boat of fun tonight, and Naysay's going to join me and just go through all the weirdness that is the portal. Of course, we're going to hit the news. We are going to get to the Discord question of the week tonight and see just what you guys all had to say. Those of you that weighed in, we'll be looking forward to that. And then we'll dive into some more weirdness in the cryptids and see how it all ends up. And remember, if you're in the chat and you got something you want to say, do your best to make it really obvious. I would just suggest typing in capital letters, and hopefully I'm going to see it. It's hard during the news, so if you want my attention, wait till after the news because I got everything covered up. All my chats are covered up during the news segment because it's it's just my lack of structure, I guess. But anyway,
That's okay. I won't see it either.
no, that's true. If those of you are out there and haven't met Naysay before, just you may hear him make remarks like that. He is actually visually impaired, but just an incredibly robust soul all the same. And
Two eye blind, third eye sighted.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. That's a great example. She did it all in caps like that. That's great. So if you make it really obvious like that, I have a better chance of seeing it. So No guarantees, but I do try to look at the chat as much as I can, and I'll do my best. So they say, how's everything been, by the way? Just catching up with you a little bit here.
It's been fantastic, spectacular. Life has been enjoyable.
Good.
I mean, what's the other choice? And
Yeah.
the ability to find the positive attitude is still there.
Uh-huh.
I finally, after about a 4-year struggle with the VA, got hardwood floors in the house.
Very nice. Very nice.
So that's, yes. So no longer am I ripping up carpet with the wheelchair.
Good. Well, I'm glad.
Except I got lost in the living room because there used to be a demarcation between the dining room and the living room.
Uh-huh.
And that wasn't there for about a week.
Oh, okay.
And so as I think I'm going straight through the dining room into the kitchen, next thing you know, I'm in the living room. So
you got to put speed bumps every once in a while through the house, right?
Well, that's what I just call the cats.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. No offense.
Just kidding. I don't have cats anymore.
All right. Well, you ready to do some news, brother, and find out just what's in the newsverse for tonight?
Yes. Input, more data, please.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head to the Paranormal Portal News and see what the hell's going on. See what I pulled up for you. I'm not always sure because, I just see headlines and pull links. So we'll learn together. But anyway, without further ado, it's time for the news, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the news. Nacy and I are going to drag you through the news, and hopefully you learn something or find at least some kind of interesting tidbits of information or whatever. But no guarantees, no promises. Let's dive into it, though. Our first news article for the night is coming from an amazing site, and I, as always throughout the course of the show, when we utilize sites like this, other websites, posting sites, etc., I'm encouraging you all to go visit these sites. These guys are amazing. Not only the unexplained-mysteries.com, but Sasquatch Chronicles, Phantoms and Monsters, How and Whys, and other amazing sites. These sites are working hard, and they need your traffic. They need your visits to help keep the lights on, because none of this is cheap. So please do visit these sites and help support the work they're doing, because it's phenomenal work. So first off, we're going to visit an article, again, from unexplained-mysteries.com. And this is under the ghosts and hauntings category. And it's right up our alley. And this one is hopefully a good one. I haven't read it, but we're going to find out together. And this is family experiences paranormal activity after non-human crashed in their backyard, or in their yard. I didn't say backyard, but it says yard. So I don't know. Let's find out what the hell's going on here. Is this a family who reported that an object had crashed in their yard last year has since been plagued by paranormal experiences. Oof. I guess that's not a good thing. The strangeness began April 30th last year when a family in Las Vegas reported that some sort of unknown object had come down from the sky and crash landed in their backyard. A short time later, one of the family phoned to the police to report the incident. Yeah, I think we're all kind of familiar with that when the police visited that family. I think this is the one and the same, where they said they had like 7 or 8 foot tall entities in their backyard, and the police checked it out. And there's actually an anomalous, I don't know if it's a body cam video that seems to show what looks like some 8 foot tall shadow creature kind of walking up and peering over the fence. It doesn't like have crisp outlines though, but It has been forensically examined by an independent video analyst, and he said, no, that's definitely not a trick of the light sources that are there. It does look actually like there was some sort of figure there. And oddly enough, I just saw the rundown of it on Casper site, which is another YouTube channel that's really entertaining. He's out of England, but he does a great job. But he was all over that, and I don't know. It's pretty compelling. I don't know all of it, and there isn't much to see. It's just one little corner of the video, but you do see this really tall head, dark, cloudy head come over the fence, and you can even see through the slats in the fence that the shadow occurs behind that fence too, as if it's a figure. So there is something going on there. Just as a side note, that was very interesting. So let's continue with the article here. It says, there's like an 8-foot person beside the object. It says the object. And another one is inside, as it has big eyes and it's looking at us, and it's still there, he told the dispatcher at the time. They're very large. They're like 8 foot or 9 feet, 10 foot. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes. Like, I can't explain it. And big mouth. And they're shiny eyes. And they're human. It says they're human. Then it says they're 100% not human. When officers attended the scene, several other members of the same family corroborated the sighting, and other residents also confirmed that something had fallen from the sky. At the time, the American Meteor Society maintained that the meteor was responsible for the sighting, with 21 reports being received in total across California, Nevada, and Utah. That said, not everyone seemed to be satisfied with this explanation. Fast forward to the present, and now Angel Kenmore, the same teenager who had reported the event to the police last year, has told News Nation in an interview that the strangeness hadn't ended with the crashed object. He now maintains that the non-human entity that he saw that day was possibly a demon, and that the family's home has since been plagued by paranormal activity. In one instance, a Christian cross that was in the house was reportedly observed floating upside down in the air, while a Jesus figurine had been ripped off and thrown across the room by an unseen force. You can watch the full video in the interview in the video below. Obviously, we're not going to watch that. It looks like it's coming from News Nation. I just don't want to air their interview with that person because that's not really fair. But I will give the link in the description. What do you think of that, Naysay? Do you remember hearing about that object?
No, but I could only imagine the disturbance in the force of experiencing such a thing.
Yeah.
My first thing is like, why did he not like the Jesus figurine?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if it's possibly a dark entity or something, then maybe that's what's the word? Insulting or painful for them. I don't know. It's the traditional exorcist kind of stuff where, oh, you got a crucifix on the wall, and then it's suddenly upside down and then shooting across the room. It's kind of I don't want to say cliche, but it's definitely some kind of I don't know, maybe a Hollywoodization of it, but maybe it's a real thing. Like when you have a real evil entity, it doesn't like those symbols, Well,
I'm definitely in the I don't know category, because what are extraterrestrials, interdimensional, interterrestrial? Mm-hmm. So, your guess is as good as mine. And This is the beauty about listening to all these different experiences.
Sure.
Because we can generalize them, but still when it comes down to it, it's assumptions and theories. And I just hope we don't taste like chicken.
I think I taste more like pork. Thank you. No, I'm just kidding. That was a fat joke, Nacy. Because
PHAT.
Well, I'm working on it. I'm working on it, brother. But
because you're cool, KEWL.
Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. I now there is a lot of correlations in, or similarities, I should say, between extraterrestrial events and visitations and poltergeist activity and hauntings. I mean, there's sometimes they're almost interchangeable in what people experience, and it's hard to know which one they're experiencing, you know? So, I don't pretend to know either. I'm kind of in the, well, I don't know what to make of that. Never heard of a haunting being introduced by whether it was a meteorite or a craft or whatever. Hell, I don't know. I mean, it's really a conundrum, though. You know.
Well, when you talk about the possibly energetic field of what represents an individual's belief, and that totem or that effigy of Jesus in itself could be disruptive to these entities. Real quick, in 1995, on June 22nd, on a timber road in Canada, I witnessed something in the sky that was amazing. We didn't know what it was. I was all excited, and I even started like flashing the headlights. And my friend at the time in the passenger seat, she's all like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I want them to see us." And she's like, "No." And then her fear rubbed off on me, and then all of a sudden I did that. Oh, geez, what am I doing? And the minute that fear was within me, it was an orange sphere. It took off.
Oh.
So it made me ponder, looking back at it, that were they like, oh, cool, these humans accept us, let's go check them out.
Right.
And then the minute that we collectively showed the fear,
Sure.
They're like, well, we're not here to cause any fear or anything. Let's boogie on out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, conversely, an interesting point also is that I have heard many accounts through the years of people that have experienced extraterrestrial visitation or even abduction, and allegedly, or they claim that by invoking, Jesus or another religious figure, it caused the experience to end. Like that was, I don't know, like created a protection or whatever is what it seemed like. But I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't pretend to know for sure what these things are, but I don't know. They seem for the most part to just be observing and keeping an eye on what's going on here, but they don't seem to be actively, I don't know. I can't say that either too, because I've interviewed abductees who have had horrible experiences, just absolutely nightmare. And, that to me is tragic, but maybe it's different kind of these beings. Maybe some of them just don't give a second thought to us, like we are just, vermin, and maybe others are very benevolent and caring. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing it all out there, and you believe.
Well, look at what we do with humanized lab animals.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if these entities are so beyond our technological capacities, then what would we be to them also?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. We could just be, petri dishes walking around. Yeah, that's a great point. I know Michio Kaku.
It's the probers that scare me.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that there. But I know Michio Kaku has said, look, if these things are thousands or millions of years advanced to us, I mean, it would be like us walking down the street and introducing ourselves to the anthills we pass. It's like people don't do that. We just kind of just go, oh, there's ants, and then we just keep going. And maybe that's how they look at us in some cases, like we're just the anthills,
Oh, and they're going to come back with a big magnifying glass.
Yes, let's burn their feelers off. I don't know what the hell. But anyway, that's first in the news. I do want to check out that video. Actually, I'm going to save that because I'm interested to hear what that guy has to say. But I can't do it live on the show, folks. But the links are in the chat for the article if you want to go check it out and watch that interview yourselves after the show. That'd be great. If you'd stick around and not do it during the show. I'm not trying to give our audience something else to do. But it does sound interesting. I would be interested to hear what their experiences are and any other pieces or bits of information they share. So that's the first.
Hey, Mr. T, you got another story?
I got plenty of stories. I got
nice
2 more that we're going to get into. The next one coming up is from Unexplained-Mysteries as well. And this one is from Ghosts and Hauntings, ladies and gentlemen. And this is near and dear to my heart. Of course, I love doing some investigating myself. So let's see what this one says from unexplained-mysteries.com. Old Louisiana courthouse sees reports of unexplainable occurrences. Yeah, those old courthouses, I tell you. It says recent renovation works have seemingly stirred up paranormal phenomena at the St. Landry Parish courthouse. Yeah, that's a great way to find out if you got a haunting or if you have anybody sticking around. Start remodeling. So if you notice things start jumping, yeah, you probably got someone there. Something strange is going on in Louisiana. That is, at least according to the parish president, Jesse Bellard, who maintains that recent renovation works at the local courthouse have stirred up something potentially supernatural. The historic building had always been home to stories of strange sightings and unexplainable phenomena, but it wasn't until the recent works started that the activity began again in earnest. It's been a lot of activity over here, but the recent few days I'm seeing myself, said Bellard. The strange occurrences, which range from equipment activating on its own to staff hearing the sounds of a judge's gavel in the courtroom when there's nobody else there, seem to happen the most in rooms that are either undergoing renovation or where renovation will soon be starting. Last week, we had a flood up on 206, which is 2 floors above me now, and it flooded that room. The clerk of court's offices from one end to the other, said Bellard. No rhyme or reason of why it did it. We've got plumbers over here to come look at it, and they ran cameras through all the lines, and nothing. There's nothing that could happen. Nothing that made sense. And it later turned out that the flooding coincided with the original location of the jail toilets. We don't have an explanation yet as to why it did what it did, said Bellard. There's nothing, so we're hoping to find out more, but we haven't. Yeah, well, I don't know what it is about renovation or remodeling, but man, that just activates whatever energy is there. What do you think of that, Nace? There he is.
Was it the bailiff? Was it the judge? Was it the stenographer?
Don't know, but they said that the flooding happened, that they heard gavels in courtrooms where nobody else is there, and I don't know. Maybe there's apparitions too, but it didn't mention it in this article. Strange though, eh?
Well, definitely, if you think of the energy that is within a courtroom, especially if it's like an older courtroom. And of course, if it's a really old one, the odds of somebody passing, is probably higher too. Sure. But yeah, that is interesting when the renovations go down, the occurrences happen more. And I like the theory about the ghosts are upset because of the remodeling choices.
Oh, sure. Yeah, maybe they don't like the way that things are being changed. There is merit to that, I think. But, even my cousin works in Tennessee in corrections, and he works in a position where he's constantly checking cameras and stuff and in a control center of sorts. And he's told me many times he's seen apparitions and really weird orbs and strange, figures and in areas that were long cleared of any of the prisoners being out of their out of their bunks or whatever. So after, all of those things have cleared, he's still seeing these figures on cameras. And it seems like, prisons are definitely another one of those hot spots. And this story mentioned the jail. Well, I mean, that's just a small prison, really. So, and God only knows the kind of, situations where people were in that jail. That might have been, during the hanging years. It's like, you stole that horse. Well, we got to string you up. And, that might have been the last place they were in their physical life before they met their demise. You know what I mean?
I remember the Apple Dumpling Gang when they were like telling them, bring your own rope.
The Apple Dumpling Gang.
You remember that, Disney?
I kind of do. Was Tim Conway in that?
Tim Conway and Don Knotts. They were the
right.
Bad guys. And Colonel from MASH, what was his name?
I don't know.
Was the sheriff, judge, and barber.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I only know the name, and I have like a few mental images of the Apple Dumpling Gang from, way back in my life, but I don't remember what the hell the story was or anything anymore.
The crazy part is I get two visuals when you think of Hangman's ropes.
Yeah.
I think of the Apple Dumpling Gang and that part where the judge told him they're like, come and get hung tomorrow and bring your own rope. and then they go and leave. And then the guy's like, do you think they're going to come? And he's like, I hope they don't. But then the other one is oh, now I forgot it. Clint Eastwood, spaghetti Western. Hang 'em high.
Hang 'em high, sure. Yeah.
You feeling lucky, punk?
I think that was Dirty Harry. But but it could be. He could have said it and Hang 'em high too. I don't remember. But yeah, that's quite a memory you got there, buddy. All right, let's get to the last one tonight on the newscast. And this is, what the hell is this one? I don't even know. Let's find out. Oh, it's extraterrestrial. So for a long time, there's been stories of an alien spire on the moon. Like there's, structures up there and such. And, I don't pretend to know either way. I kind of think that if they're here, they're probably out there too. They're probably hanging out on the moon or whatever. But there's been a legend of a spire, like a tower on the moon. Well, rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, NASA has the answer. So don't worry. Nothing to see here. Let's get into this article from unexplained-mysteries.com. Extraterrestrial is the category. NASA scientist debunks alien spire on the moon conspiracy theory. There you go. So that nice of them to put that to bed, huh? Let's see what they said. An eagle-eyed anomaly hunter had discovered what looked like a spire-like structure in a NASA photo on the moon. With its rock-strewn and cratered surface, the moon, like Mars, is a place where pareidolia and the tendency for the human mind to make out meaningful shapes and abstract patterns can reign supreme, generating all manner of peculiar sightings of everything from statues and buildings to animals and people. I don't know. That looks like a tower, though. I mean, it's just the image. Looks like there's something standing up there with I don't know. Let's see what it says. This tendency to misinterpret mundane things as something significant was brought into focus recently when a YouTuber user by the name of Mexico Geek discovered what he described as a spire on Google Moon, a service providing users with the ability to explore NASA imagery of the lunar surface. At a glance, the alleged spire certainly looks like something, but looks can be deceiving. Of course they can. According to Mexico Geek, the object would be around 3.5 miles in height and was built to accommodate a very large vessel so it could dock safely without landing. It wasn't long, however, before Noah Petro, a project scientist for NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Camera, or LROC, mission, offered his 2 cents on what he thought the object could be. The spire, he argues, is simply 2 craters, one large and one small, sitting next to each other. The tall, thin structure is actually the shadow of the smaller crater being cast into the larger one. Okay. Coupled with debris that has likely fallen down the large crater's wall. Whether this explanation will satisfy everyone, however, remains to be seen. Well, let's look at that. I don't know how that, if it's a crater next to a crater, how the hell is it going to cast a shadow into another crater? There's so to give you an idea, Naysay, of what we're seeing, there's a dark surface of the moon. It looks very dark with some lighter splotches, but there's like a light or off-white big circle. And then next to it, but it looks like from the middle of the big circle is a dark spire-like extension, and then a little circle that looks to be on top of that dark extension, like it is a spire. But what NASA's saying is, no, that's not actually a spire. That's one large crater with another crater right next to it casting a shadow into the larger crater. But how the hell can a crater, which is an indentation, cast a shadow into another indentation? That doesn't make sense, right?
So after the show or tomorrow, I would like for the listening audience to go and get a gallon of all natural organic vanilla ice cream and get an ice cream scoop and a melon baller. Take out a big old scoop with the ice cream scoop and then scoop out a little scoop inside the first scoop, and then shut off the lights and get a flashlight and go around 360 degrees and see if you can reproduce this anomaly. And while you're figuring it out, keep eating the ice cream.
It's a win-win, right?
Exactly. Yeah, nothing like ice cream craters.
Yeah. So it would just to help you out visually with this again, it would the smaller crater is like just on the outer edge of the bigger crater. So it's like right next to it, butting right up to it, but I still don't see how that would cast a shadow. That just doesn't make sense to me. But I'm not saying it couldn't be that. I'm just saying that I'm not sure that that's what I'm seeing. I don't know. I mean, you all be the judge. I don't know. It's just the description to me doesn't, the hypothesis doesn't seem to match visually with what I'm seeing, unless the little crater had rain in it and and it ran into the big crater. I don't know how you'd get that line.
There was a really good documentary. It was called Anomalies on the Moon.
Okay.
And it had a numerous amount of photos of just strange occurrences on the moon. And I believe that we have a lunar base. Remember Space 1999 and Moon Base Alpha? No, and if you look up Alternative 3, that was one of the alternatives. Alternative 3 was bases on the moon and Mars.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that at all, but it's curious. I think it does look like a tower, though. It really does. But I'm not pretending to be, an objective source here. Obviously, I don't know. Anytime you get an official response, it's always like, it's swamp gas reflecting the light of Uranus. I mean, it's just like, come on.
Mm-hmm. And remember all the pylons on Earth that were showing up all over.
Oh yeah,
on different continents.
Sure.
So why couldn't there be one or two on the moon?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I thought those pylons were all just kind of debunked as just art projects and a viral art project or something. Weren't they?
No clue.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know either.
No clue. I knew some of them appeared and disappeared.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it could be. I don't know. I just don't know enough to be sure. But there you go, folks. I guess this is going to wrap up the news. So without further delay, let's get back to the rest of the show. What do you think, Naysay? Did you have a good news fest?
Yeah. Are you going to do the music again?
Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
All right. Let's get back to the show.
News. The news on the Paranormal Portal. Welcome to the news.
newsiest news you'll ever get a hold of. All right. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, and hope you guys enjoyed the news. Thrift stores are fun, Chucky says, but they require caution. Yeah, you don't want to bring home a haunted doll or something by accident. Although, surprisingly, there's a lot of people looking for haunted dolls, and I don't know why.
I got a Dibbit box for $5.
Do you really? That was a big thing. You could find Dybbuk boxes everywhere after the big Dybbuk box thing, and I think it was Ghost Adventures kind of launched or relaunched the whole hype behind Dybbuk boxes, and suddenly, like eBay and Etsy, were full of Dybbuk boxes, and it's funny because the Dybbuk is like a Jewish word for like an evil spirit, and according to legend, the rabbis had all cast out all the Dybbuks already, so there shouldn't be any left. But anyway, that's the story. And yeah, I don't know. Brent, is the ghost radar on? You're right, it's not, Rachel. In fact, I got to do this. Let me get that on. What the hell is the date? There we go. Let me name it here. We'll turn it on. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate your tenacity. It's the 27th of 2024. There we go. The ghost radar is now on, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll know if we're being visited. Perfect. See
David, are you out there?
Who's David?
I was just hoping David would hear us and come across on the radar.
Naysay, no summoning things to my studio, please. Let's not do that.
Well, you know, for $19.99, I'll be your many sins man, and well, drum and rattle is an extra charge.
Oh, nice.
And
very good.
Unfortunately, $1,000 deposit for those in Canada.
I'm pretty sure I can't afford you.
Just for the I'll give you a coupon.
Oh, well, then maybe.
Or frequent flyer miles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could cash those.
That's not as easy as it was in my head. Frequent flyer miles.
It's okay. You're not being this is not being graded, so don't worry. All right, so we've got a lot more to get to, obviously, and next up, we are going to get to one of my favorite segments of the week, and this has to do with our Discord, ladies and gentlemen. We have a Discord server, if you're not already familiar with it, and the link is in the description of YouTube and in Rumble. I don't know if Twitch has it, but I don't know if anybody's over on Twitch. Let's see, I got Lucky Gypsy over there, but Lucky Gypsy's already in several chats. She's all over the place, which is cool. But thank you, Lucky Gypsy, for manning the Twitch chat. But it's on Rumble, it's on YouTube, and if you use Discord, we'd love to have you involved, have you be a part of it, because it's a great continuation of the chat that's always ongoing here on the shows. There's a lot of wonderful people over there that are here in the chats that are also over on Discord sharing links, sharing information, stories, ideas, etc. But the segment that I'm talking about deals specifically with us serving a question to the Discord audience just to get your guys'
Discord Paranormal Portal question of the week.
That's right. And it sounds something like this. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the question of the week, and we are going to be dealing with our Discord. Special thanks to Chucky Danger, as always, for keeping these questions flowing and helping to make it amazing over and over and over. I love the questions you're coming up with, Chucky. These are great. I don't think I ever would have came up with these questions, so it's awesome. I was already running on what should I ask next? What should I ask next? And then Chucky came in and no problem. He's just firing off questions left and right. So let's get it on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is our Discord server that you're seeing on the screen here. I want to just line it up a little bit so you can see a little better here. So over on the left hand is the different servers that you join on Discord. This is the Paranormal Portal server here. And on the left column is all the threads of discussion that are going on in the Paranormal Portal Discord. And there's lots to look at, lots of topics that, whether you're interested in UFO ghosts, different cryptids, or extraterrestrial abductions or encounters, music, books, movies, etc., and a Paranormal Portal marketplace, which our Discord community and others, well, meaning me, I put up the link to our t-shirt shop, which is, of course, where you can get fine gear like the one I'm wearing. And the question of the week is here too, and that's what we're going to be diving into. So I have.
Are you doing like the weather? Sorry, are you doing like the weatherman behind the blue screen, and you're pointing out to things
with my mouse? That's all, just a mouse pointer. I've got it up on the screen, and I'm moving my mouse pointer around to let people know.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So we're going to get to the question now, and as always, thank you, Chucky. You're amazing. And thank you to everybody who took the time to respond. I love reading what you guys have to say. So this question of the week is, with the modern plethora of paranormal shows and movies to choose from these days, what are the things you find they get right, and what do they do wrong? So, great question. I never would have thought of that. But Hallelujah Goat comes in first and says, the one thing on television that they do that I don't care for is when they play the recordings back. They will be listening, hear a zip zap crackle, and then say, "Holy, did you hear that? That must have been a chef. That must be a chef. It just said cut more tomatoes." Yeah, it's sometimes a big stretch when you listen to the EVPs and stuff, and then they come up with these weird things that's like, she murdered me, and it sounds like I like cheese. I don't think it said she murdered me. Yeah, exactly, like reverse radio or something. But it's crazy sometimes how they get the words that they pop up there with, and I know these things are really subjective in terms of, I always liken it to those crowd chant videos that you can check out on YouTube, and it's these crowds chanting. I think it's during European football matches, and they'll put the most disparate sentences up there. And when it's highlighted and you read the sentence and you're listening to the crowd, you'd swear that's what they're saying. But it loops, and then when you read the next one, which is absolutely different, you'd swear they were saying that. And so there is something about reading words and then hearing, I don't know, just maybe suggestible audio like that you do end up projecting whatever you're reading into what you're hearing. And so it's very interesting. So anyway,
Aleister Crowley in his verbal magic, where he professes about learning to speak backwards, and the backward masking was a huge thing in our days. How many needles we ruined checking those things out.
Oh yeah. On the old turntables. Yep. Yeah. Playing it backward, the Beatles backwards, and hearing Paul is dead. Like,
oh yeah. Turn me on, dead man.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a 72-hour deep dive, the Paul is dead, that I went on.
Oh,
and that was just before I lost my sight. Oh. And I started on a Friday early afternoon, and Sunday night I come out of my office and I was convinced that he was replaced.
Oh yeah, well, it was an interesting set of I don't want to say circumstances, but events that would make it seem like there might be something here. But I don't know. Again,
do you watch? Back to the question. Sorry. Do you watch scary movies?
Not really scary movies, but I like watching, when I can, I like watching the investigation shows where they actually are, allegedly doing investigations. I enjoy those, but I've never been a fan of horror movies. I just, I don't know, the gratuitous violence and stuff. It's just like, I don't need.
Love them. Love them. When I was a kid and I first saw Night of the Living Dead,
oh God,
I wanted to be a special effects makeup artist.
Oh sure,
I made all of my Halloween costumes, and so I love horror movies. Yeah. But you're right, the later ones are a little just trying to like blatant gore you out.
Yeah, it's like I don't need to see people disemboweled, even if it's not real. It's just like it looks real enough that I just am not comfortable with it. It's like, yeah, that's something I don't ever need to see in my life, even if it's fake. It's like, yeah.
Well, the back with his questions on the part that bothers me is where they show these individuals playing witchcraft or playing spells and trying to, doing these incantations and stuff.
Oh God.
And that scares me because it incites individuals to be like, oh, let's try that.
Yeah.
And that, just like we talked about before about the Ouija board, that, I'm not going to say don't do it, but always be cautious, always protect yourself.
Yeah.
Make that feel those intentions, whatever. But
yep.
Yeah, that's where with the scary movies that it bothers me is when they start putting that out there.
Yeah, I agree. I that's really a bone of contention for me as well. And it's like when people like, I don't know how to say this, but a lot of esoteric and occultist practices are generally there's a process to it. Like you don't just go out and get a book and start summoning spirits in drawing tables and sigils and try to summon a spirit. I mean, there's lots of self work that goes into those kind of things. As far as these esoteric practices, there's meditation, there's visualization, there's there's the shadow work that's often talked about, where you got to take care of your own garbage and clean out your own closet before you start digging into touching on these other energies and stuff. And it's because in a sense those practices are a form of manifestation, and they do have potential repercussions. And so it's always frightening to me that they just sometimes show so much, and it's like, well, I'm gonna try that. It's like, don't do it. Don't poke the universe like that, because something might answer. I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah, don't do it from any of the movies. Don't do it from any books. Of course, unless it's my book, Be Your Own Many Sins Man. Yeah. 1999. You can find me online.
Let's go to the next one. Taipan007 says, the subject of ghosts and demons are my favorites. I actually don't watch any television shows, though. I've found some documentaries that are spot on with the history and are fascinating, but often neglect any religious context associated with the soul and why it would wind up in a state of limbo, unless it's like Aleister Crowley. The TV shows are just that, 24 episodes in a season, and the producer will demand valuetainment. What I've seen, good history and manipulated investigation, I think Ghost Hunters was the one show that the crew took pretty seriously. Yeah, I think Ghost Hunters always did a good job, and I think, I don't know, I mean, every show has its potential fakery in it. I mean, you can't. I don't know how to say this, because I don't want to rub any people wrong, but I think anytime you're watching something for entertainment, you've got to weigh it with a grain of salt. Like, just because you see something, you don't always know, unless you were there, what was actually experienced versus what is being portrayed. And so you can't take everything on face value. You've got to kind of weigh it versus, some logic and critical thinking, and in many cases. But I love the ghost shows. Don't get me wrong. I love watching investigation shows. I find them very entertaining, but I also find several of them very suspect, because I just don't think every location you go to, there's going to be doors slamming and things moving. And, I mean, very, very rarely in my experiences have I seen physical manifestations of things. Usually it's anomalous electronic stuff is the most common that could be explained away, just, being technical glitches or electrical glitches. But, it's anybody's guess, but just weigh all of it with a little suspicion. But I think you're right, Taipan. That's a good point. Utah Sam comes in next and says, I will say that Resident Alien is putting a strangely nice take on the potentially significantly scary as hell reality. Other than that, I don't really watch much sci-fi. I've had enough of it when I sleep. Yeah, I don't know what it's like when you sleep, Utah Sam, but I hear you. Again, I'm not equating this stuff with sci-fi, though. I think that, there are very legitimate shows out there that are investigating, but I think there's a lot of clickbaity, sensationalism going on in a lot of them as well.
Well, the biggest challenge is that we need you to come back next week's show. And so, that cliffhanger.
Oh, sure.
Got that little cliffhanger. And next week we open up.
Yeah. Are you there, or did you mute yourself?
No, I did that for a dramatic pause.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That went right over my head. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to work with the producers and networks and sponsors and all that stuff. So I don't know what that pressure is like. And so I hate to be uber critical of that, because maybe they just, really maybe several of these presentations, they don't really have control of what happens after the investigation. Like a lot of things may be done on the editing room floor that they had never anticipated going out of the investigation. So, but then again, it is a living, it's a profession. These are people that are probably under an extraordinarily extreme amount of stresses to produce, and probably what causes them to go into some of the worst places, doing the most drastic things to try to elicit responses, which I'm sure comes with a price tag on its own, just in, attachments or, having things follow you home, etc. I don't think, on most ghost shows, when I've heard people interviewed that are on them, that many of them talk about having things follow them home and having things happen in their own homes. Even, I don't know. One time Zach Baggins, I heard him interviewed, and he was talking about getting dragged out of his bed one night. And, he repeated it over several interviews. So I don't know if it was just, I tend to believe it's possible, especially the way they used to do their shows, where he was, I don't know, jumping in the face of everything. Come on, you want to do something, do it to me. It's like, yeah, you're probably going to get something that's interested in doing something to you after that.
Don't poke the bear.
Yes, exactly. He's goading them everywhere. And
ghost bear. Don't poke ghost bear.
Any bears, yeah, for that matter. I think he's co-hosted the podcast Bigfoot and Beyond. Who? I don't know what I'm reading. Oh, Bobo. Yeah, Bobo is Cliff and Bobo. Yeah, they're great. On Bigfoot and Beyond, both of those guys are wonderful. All right. Did I read Artemis Rex? No, I didn't. Artemis Rex is up next and says, I agree with Utah Sam. Resident Alien has been doing an amazing job of bringing in many little things that are discussed within the paranormal community. For example, when two of the characters start being abducted, they start to see an owl around their house. I thought this was particularly interesting because of the number of times alien activity has been blamed on owl sightings. Yeah, that's true. That's come up. Owls is a pretty consistent symbol that people are seeing that deal with abductions. I also really love the respect that they pay to First Nations people and traditions. Another episode in the CEO of Dark Horse Comics, Resident Alien was originally a Dark Horse series, for anyone who didn't know, tells his own very personal story of witnessing an event. I don't want to spoil it, but it's worth checking out. The show does an amazing job of demonstrating the stress and trauma that witnesses experience. From the mocking to MIB interviews to them having to mentally process what it was they believed. Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of support groups for those people that are going through that stuff. I think largely they feel very isolated and Who do you tell without sounding like you're just absolutely bonkers? Yeah,
Who?
exactly.
Who? Who?
Yeah,
Who?
I caught that one. I caught that one. I'm kind of proud of
Mr.
myself.
Owl.
All right, next up comes John T. And it says, unless you know for yourself firsthand, it's really hard to say what's right or wrong. Like me, I know BF, Bigfoot used portals because I saw it happen 25 yards away. Oh, that's interesting, John. I've seen them cloak or disappear, and some say they don't. As for being paranormal, anything is possible, but I say a lot of shows play for ratings. I think that's fair enough, and I think they have to be honest with you. I mean, it's there's no job security in that field. There just isn't unless you're creating sensational shows, and that's why I personally don't like the idea that there's faking going on, because this topic is so sincerely personal to me, and my sincere personal desire to understand what's going on, and certainly having bad evidence doesn't help formulate real conclusions. So that's my rub with it. But on the same token, again, we don't understand the pressure that these people are under, and the livelihood, their very livelihood is at stake, and there's no job security in it at all. So it's hard to blame them if they do have to embellish, just because the entertainment industry is absolutely ruthless, I'm sure. So my hat's off to all of them. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say, I don't want to put people down, but at the same time, I don't want to build up bad information either. I'm kind of at a crossroads there, because again, it's a very serious topic for me, but there again, I can't understand what their experience is. Let's go to Karen Alberding next, and says, there are so many shows and I don't watch many. Some use way too many sound effects. Good point, Karen. And creepy music. I agree. That's one of my other pet peeves. It's when the music and sound effects are so loud you can't hear anything, and you're not quite sure if what you're hearing was supposed to be in there, or if it's after in the editing room, that they added it. Because some of those sound effects are they sound like they fit, but then it's like, no, wait, then it went into a song. So that is frustrating. Music, the use of the word demon a lot. Yeah. Scream a lot. And I'm amazed they haven't all had massive heart attacks. One show, the demons know their names quite often. I don't watch that one anymore because it's ridiculous. I think provoking is really wrong. I'm talking mostly ghost shows here. Also using Ouija boards, I won't watch if it's involved. That's just inviting all sorts of bad energy. And as far as Bigfoot making calls and banging on trees, to me is just advertising, here I am, so they know where to avoid because of it. I think the woods is their home, and if someone is in their house or they're in their home, they're going to know it. And I'm not really sure what a right or wrong way there is regarding Bigfoot. I don't think we really know what to do there, but the banging and hollering to me is not it. At least in my mind, UFOs. I have zero idea. So you got me there. I think that's still a pretty big unknown. We know they are there, but what do you do with it? So there you go, just my 2 cents for what it's worth. Absolutely, Karen. There's the ghost radar. 2 of them here. One next to me and one on the other side by the camera. Huh.
What's up, Dave?
That might be Dave. You might have done it, Naysay. SoCal Squatcher comes in next, says, well, with the Sasquatch phenomenon in particular, I don't know how they always portray the tribe as a monkey when 99% of the reports say they looked very human. Almost all the artwork for shows has apes' faces. It's ridiculous. Embrace the woo. Yeah. But there is reports there's a lot of reports where physically there seems to be a huge diversity of what they look like. Some people report almost chimpanzee faces with like a hooded wide nose, and others report very human-like faces, like a lot of Native American looking faces are reported on these Bigfoot as well. And so, yeah, it's hard to say. But there does seem to be a huge biodiversity in them, and it could be there's more than the one type, or it could be just they have a lot of variation between them, just like we do as human beings. But anybody's guess. All right, let's go to Animal Lanny. Animal Annie. Sorry, I said Animal Lanny, but it's Animal Annie. Brent gets it right as far as I'm concerned, which is why I always come back to the portal. Aw, thank you. Despite trying other shows. He's an empathic interviewer even when he does not agree with someone. He drives the conversation along without being overbearing. Aw, that's very nice. I like this one. This is my favorite one. I'm just kidding. I love them all. The podcast interviews are well worth listening to. The video show is his baby, yet he doesn't allow the show to be all about his ego. Unlike some hosts who are all look at me, the material is varied and selected for its entertainment value in pursuing questions. I highly value Brent's ability to ask and seek out for answers without arriving at a foregone conclusion to support his presuppositions. He's the definition of humble open-mindedness. The only thing I wish was for the phones to be back up so we could have Deb Varner back on. Aw, that's wonderful. Thank you, Animal Annie. That was very, very sweet. I'm going to heart that one. That's very kind. I mean, I don't hear those things ever. So you guys are all wonderful and very, very kind to me. But that's the first review of my whole body of work there that I've ever read outside of iTunes. Some of them are not so nice.
Well, and also when you bring on that one guest, Naysay, I think that really helps, keep the show up in its prime.
Absolutely. It pushes the needle that extra bit, which helps a lot.
$19.99.
Yeah, checks in the mail. Checks in the mail, Nacy. All right, Rachel 101 comes in and says, I don't watch contemporary shows about paranormal investigations. I've seen the way Brent has conducted his investigations. Aw, you guys are so nice. My God. What he gets right is being honest, polite, and having the right techniques to possibly communicate with the others. I don't think he gets anything wrong. Aw, that's really cool. You guys are amazing. Thank you. I've listened to Strange Familiars podcast, and Tim Renner goes out with a partner into the woods, describe what he's seen, and records excellent audio that at the time picks up sounds. He's not overly excited, not rude. I don't think he does anything wrong either. Well, that's really cool. I'm going to heart that one too. Chucky, note for the future, more questions about me. That's so nice.
Yeah, and I can't say it enough. When you have that Naysay character on your show, it just
yeah. Well, it does help. Yeah, no doubt. It's like it's the perfect match. All right.
When you go slumming, I like it when you come slumming with me.
You're no slum. You're no slummer, Naysay. Next up is Maggie M10. I don't really watch paranormal TV shows. A lot of what they do is really good, even small-time investigations. I would much prefer a more honest and realistic representation without the sensationalism for clicks and views, in my humble opinion. It doesn't help keep expectations in check and may discourage people from investigating for themselves when they don't get activity for the entire investigation. It would be great for them to present something more grounded in reality. Yeah, that's true. And that's the other hard parts about it is that, I think in reality, in my experience, there's been investigations that have been really pretty active. And you take hours and hours and hours of investigation and you kind of clip it into a half hour or an hour package. And generally speaking, in a lot of cases, you can get enough to show that something's going on, but some of these shows are just way over the top. It's like, how can that much stuff be going on? Again, I'm not trying to be overly critical. I wasn't there. Perhaps some of these people just have things following them that like to, screw with them constantly. And that's part of the activity that they experience. I'm not saying that's not possible. It certainly could be, but it just seems unlikely. Now, I've been, as many of you know, done investigations where almost nothing happened in hours and hours and hours and hours. And many investigations are that way. Again, St. Ignatius, it was a really cool experience to go there, and I do want to go there again. I just think it just wasn't a good night for some reason, whatever it was, that there was not much activity, very little. But Charles has been there many times and has experienced many nights of a lot of stuff going on. So you just got to keep trying. But there was another time Charles and I investigated this haunted bar, and outside of my phone calling 911 all by itself and then his camera breaking, the rest of the night was absolutely dead. And so it was like, wow, it was a really amazing start. And I was like, oh man, if this is how it's starting, how's it going to end? But it was like that big, lead in and then nothing after that. It was just crickets, nothing, no weird noises, no EVPs, nothing. It was just flatlined after that. So you don't know when this stuff is going to happen or where or, what day. It just happens when it happens. So very, very cool. Karen Alberting comes back in again and says, a show that does it right is Paranormal Portal. When doing their investigations, it's no frills and completely organic. Love it. It's done right. God, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I wish I had all kinds of opportunity to go out and continue to investigate, and to pump out videos like weekly doing those, because I love doing it. I really do. I love going out to these locations and I like checking this stuff out. But in all fairness, I'm just learning too. I'm not this well-schooled, really, really experienced investigator, but I love doing it. I know it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I think the idea of actually making contact with these presences, these personalities that are still here, is an extraordinary opportunity to reach across time and maybe learn something. Like again, in the Davenport Hotel investigation, I did ask a question, and I'm not going to give it away what I asked, but I asked what it's like to be a spirit, and and how they move around. And it seems that I got a absolutely clear response, not in word, but in the flashlight test. So if you watch that investigation, you'll know what I mean. But if you haven't, you should check it out. It was like, I thought so. I thought that's what's going on. So it was really cool. But anyway, I think we have the opportunity to learn. And this is, if we can establish maybe more consistent ways of reaching across that divide to make that connection, what could they teach us? What could they show us about our reality that we don't already understand? And I think it's an amazing opportunity. So I love doing it. Can't always predict when something's going to happen. Sometimes they just don't show up. Absolutely, Karen. I mean, we just don't know. It's amazing. But I think it's a great opportunity. And I do love that all these shows are out there. I really do. But again, some of the shows are just trying to make their mark, to get their opportunity in the spotlight. Others are genuinely doing it because they love it. And some are a little bit of both, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not saying one is good, one is bad, but again, just weigh it with your heart, I guess, with your intuition. The star of the show seldom shows up. Bigfoot. Yeah, that's true. You're right, Tommy. That's a good point. Yeah, I think they're out there though, but they're pretty camera shy. I forgot to add Brent is awesome at the end. That's why I love doing the ITC on the shows. Those times we're all being honest about it. It was good. Thanks, Brent. Oh, you're welcome, Maggie. I love doing it too. But, when I was getting a little concerned because I don't want to encourage too much activity in where I live. So I kind of backed away from doing it because, I just got to be careful. I do very, very carefully cleanse this house and do things to purify the atmosphere, both before, during, and after. But you can never be too sure. So I don't do a lot of the investigating here anymore, but
Have you ever been back to that one site that you and Don went and checked out? What was that, like 5 years ago now?
oh, in Coloma, the ghost town up on
No,
Montana.
the the forest thing with the, you know how the trees were bent over and tied.
Oh no, yeah, we went. We kept following up on that, and what Nase is talking about was when Don was actually contacted by a homeowner who had 30 chickens, was down to 9, no idea where they were going. There was no feather litter and stuff, and then the homeowner was back behind the house in the wood in the into the woods and found this weird structure that with the bent over trees and all these pine boughs that were broken off of this conifer tree about up to like 30 feet in the air. They were all snapped off and were covering this structure. I've got photos. They're on the Instagram if you guys want to check it out, along with a footprint that we found, but it was on an embankment and had no way to cast it. But we did go back several times following that, but it was like after we discovered that structure and our scent was there, they never touched it again. It's like the jig was up or whatever. The gig was up or the jig was up, whatever that phrase is.
And nothing against Donnie, but you know that beard oil that he puts in.
I call it a marinade, but yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we did follow up on that site a few times, and I even left a trail cam up in the area there for a good week, and then a second week I moved it to a different area, and we never caught anything. But trail cams really don't catch anything, and a lot of people consider trail cams to be like the raid yard guard for Bigfoot. It's like if you want to keep a Bigfoot out of somewhere, put up trail cams. Is kind of the takeaway. So yeah, we didn't find anything else, but was it on higher ground structure? No, it was actually pretty flat. It was but the chicken coop was not far from the wood line. So it was a house, and then outside of the house, kind of at a 45-degree angle, was this chicken coop. And they did find a hole in the side of the chicken coop that was about, I don't know, about 8 inches and about, yeah, I mean, it would stretch out to fit a pretty big arm. But it was like something was reaching in, grabbing chickens, and then taking them away. So the chickens, I don't think were dispatched right there, but they were taken somewhere else and, consumed probably. But if it was a normal predator, that would have blown feathers right there. Because, like when a fox gets a chicken, they kill it, so that they can take it away. Well, in the process of killing it, the chicken's blowing feathers everywhere, like freaking out, doing what they do. So, but it was a pretty flat.
Why did the chickens cross the road?
Oh, those didn't.
They were in Bigfoot's bag.
Yeah, they were in his belly. But we did. So then it's the chicken coop, and then about maybe 50 yards into the wood line was this structure, but it was so well camouflaged that it was stumbled on by the homeowners. It wasn't even visible. It was so well hidden that you had to stumble on it in order to find it. And when we got there, I was just like, oh my God, it's so well hidden in here, you wouldn't even know. But this area, there's no kids. It's all just this retired area with there's only 2 other houses even near there within several acres, but it's all private land. So it's not like some kids came in and made a fort or something, but they would have managed to have pulled over about an 8-inch or 6-inch sapling into an arch. And then there was all this rudimentary weaving of these boughs and sticks. It was really pretty spectacular, but the pictures are on the Instagram for the Paranormal Portal. So if you check out Instagram, you'll find those photos. And there's several of them in there that just show you what we experienced. But it was a strong structure too. An investigator friend of ours, Cindy Goodbrake, came out to look at it with us. And she's not a big person. She's maybe about 5'1" or 5'2", but she got up on this thing and was able to bounce, and it was not, crackling or falling apart. It was just really robust. But as soon as we were there, nothing touched it. Nothing would go near it. So very interesting. Very interesting. All right, so this has been the Discord question of the week. Thank you, everybody, not only for the kind words, but your thoughts on all this stuff. I think y'all have great takes, and obviously.
Nice question, Chuck.
Yeah, Chucky, you did awesome. You did awesome, brother. And thank you so much, everybody, for participating. And we're going to get back to the rest of the show. Let me do this first.
You scare me. Oh, it's Dad.
Chucky says the human heart puts out EMF 20 feet away. Oh, yeah. I'd heard that. I didn't know it was 20 feet, but I knew that our biological field is several feet outside of our body. I didn't know that it was a 20-foot reach, though. That's pretty good.
And when you have Brent's love, it's another 5 yards.
And just so you know, you all have my love. So add another 5 yard onto your order.
What?
Aura. I love them all. I'm a loving guy, Naysay.
Jealous.
So anyway, this was the question of the week. Let's look at the time here. God, I think we're going to get right into the cryptids, because that's what we got. Thank you again for all those nice remarks. So I appreciate all the support. Again, those investigations are, they're really near and dear to my heart, and I love doing them. But I'm glad you guys are finding them entertaining and valuable, I guess, for whatever purposes. Hopefully we're presenting the information, in a good way. But I can only assure you, if you watch an investigation that we've done, there's absolutely no embellishment. There's no exaggeration. There's nothing is staged or faked. I just couldn't do that, and I feel like I had any personal integrity. So what you are seeing in those videos is what happened in real time. There's no creative editing going on, nothing. It's just, if the only editing is just for time, because all of the investigations take place over 8, 10, 12 hours with tons of footage. So obviously we clip it down to the best parts. You don't want to sit and watch us listen to static for, 40 minutes. That's not entertaining. So the only thing is it's edited for content, but not edited to create content. So I give you my word of honor, I put it on everything I love and all that is holy, that what you see is what's happened, what we experienced. So anyway, that's my own personal disclosure. So anyway, let's get down here. I just want to look at the chat quick. Tommy says, I just ate my cousin's pickled hot peppers. My head is sweating. Is that a pickled
pepper? Did he get permission?
Was your cousin Peter Piper? Picked up pickled peppers. Sorry, I can't do tongue twisters. Anyway, that sounds like a pretty brave endeavor, Tommy. I don't mind a little bit of spice, but I am definitely on the wimpy side of the spectrum. I don't do the really, like, the rocket sticks. I can't do, not that that's an actual brand, but it's just the really hot things. I can't do it. I
don't mind it going in, but coming out.
I don't like it going in or coming out. I like a little spice, but nothing north of jalapeno. That's my ceiling right there. Or sriracha. That's jalapeno or sriracha. I'm good. Anything over that is just like, are you freaking crazy? Now I know
my daughter gave me, I can't remember what it's called, but you buy one chip, and it's a pretty big, like, Dorito-like chip.
Yeah.
And it's some ridiculously hot chip.
Oh,
and
right.
She bought it, and she was like, you want to try it, Dad? And of course, she can talk me into anything. And I'm like, all right. And I was like, it was so coated with the powder. Oh. As soon as I put it in my mouth, I sucked in air real quick. So then you suck the powder off the chip, and it just gets in the back of your throat, and it was just like, ah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's brutal. That is brutal. Is it one of those ghost pepper powder things?
I can't remember what it was, but it was in a weird container and it had one chip
Oh, that's the one
that
chip
was
challenge. Yeah, I've heard of that. And it comes out looking like it's like nuclear red. I mean, it's so full of powder, and they color it just brightly, like like the frogs in South America that are like these really big bright colors. Yeah, that's like that chip, and it's kind of the same rule of nature. It's like, yeah, if it's brightly colored, leave it the hell alone. Unless it's Jello. Jello's fine, but anyway. All right. Well, I think we're going to dive into the cryptids, Nace. You ready for some cryptids?
Yes, let's dive.
Let's dive. Hang on, we're going in. Let me find my browser here. Here we go. All right, when we're starting out here, folks, we're going to start out with Sasquatch Chronicles. I've got this one's a really short one, but this has also got a video file. This one's also called Scream in the Woods. So we're going to be able to listen to it too. So if you have headphones, pop them on, or, listen, or if you can turn up your speakers, it may help, because oftentimes when people record screams in person, it's probably really spectacular, but oftentimes on recordings, it's almost whisper like loud. So little microphones don't pick up big sounds real well. So, in most cases, but let's check this out. So from Sasquatch Chronicles blog, as of, let's put it up on screen, as of April 22nd, Scream in the Woods. A member sent this to me, and I believe it was captured in, I don't know how to say that for sure. It's Conneaut, Conneaut Creek, Ohio. Conneaut Creek, I guess. The clip below is a short clip where you hear the scream. The second video is from the member's YouTube channel, which shows more than the short clip. Ted writes, I got this up on YouTube as well. This just happened to me Saturday night. Let me know what you think of this. Thank you. All right. Well, I guess I could look at the short clip, but let's just check out the long clip. It's from Sasquatch Chronicles YouTube page. So let's have a look.
Here we go. We're at the giant tree. I found it. Oh, shit.
I guess that's a short clip, too. Let's listen to it again.
Here we go.
Sorry about the language, by the way.
Giant tree. I found it. Oh, shit.
I love that guy's reaction. It's like this long pause, and it's like, oh, bleep. That seems pretty organic to me. God, I don't know what would scream like that in the woods. And this is Ohio, too. So Ohio is not known for its large fauna outside of deer, I don't think. I think it's much like Minnesota, where it's like, there might be a black bear or something roaming around, but they don't generally scream that I know of. But it could be a person out in the woods, but it's not an extraordinarily long scream. But that's, yeah, Rachel says, pretty honest reaction. Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty creepy. I want to listen to it again.
Here we go. We're at the giant tree. I found it.
Oh, that's interesting. I want to point out something here.
We're at the giant tree.
Let me close this. This is actually a broken off tree here. What we can't see is, did something fall on it? Is there any deadfall on it? But that's very interesting. It's broken very low to the ground. I mean, it could be just that it was dragged down with another tree and snapped, but it must have been unique enough to this person to go, hey, we're at the broken tree. Like perhaps this is what he was going to show, and then that scream happens.
I found it.
Ugh.
Oh, shit.
I love that guy's reaction.
I think if that would have happened to me, you would have hear another scream about like 20 decimals higher. and more like a squeal,
Yeah. No, I know.
and
That's
then actual shit. Sorry.
then the sound of actual having a poop.
Right.
Sorry, I had to cough. But I think that
I enjoy those. Those are great. The calls and the yells and stuff.
I mean, it doesn't sound like anything that I would expect, as far as an animal. I'm just listening to it. I will say it could be a human. It's very short and it's not outside of the range of a human voice, but someone's sitting out there in the dead woods. I don't know how far out this person is, but I'm sure it's, not right next to their house or something. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I mean, I'm
out in the middle of the woods with one board, one nail, and one hammer, and just missed the nail, got his thumb.
Yep, that was it.
And
he was.
But the timing, that's where I give it a little authenticity.
Sure.
Like, because the guy in his timing, his cadence.
Yeah.
And then he hears the scream, and then it's like that pause enough where you can hear the gears going on in his head.
Yeah, as he's processing.
And it's like, huh?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it does seem very organic. I will say that as well. Now, what you can't see, Naysay, is the fact that this is happening in the dead of night. The only thing is he's got a flashlight, but he's in the woods and there's no other light. I mean, well, I assume it's out in the woods a ways. I can't know that, but who's going to be sitting out there just to prank him in the in the middle of the woods and sitting in complete darkness and then screaming like an idiot, right?
Yeah, I guess the full video would have to be reviewed and to see what led into the circumstance.
Well, I want to. There's a link here for a short clip. I don't know if it's. Maybe it got reversed. If this is the longer clip, maybe the short clip is just the scream. I don't know. But I do like the fact that this has the guy's reaction, because you're right. It's like after that sound happens, he pans to his left, and he's just, like you said, you can just hear the gears clicking, going, "Uh-oh, what the hell's that?" And then of course he says, "Oh shoot," and it sounds like, what do I do? This is not what I was expecting. So, and he's going up to this tree break site, or what I assume is a tree break site. Oh, here's the full clip. Okay, let's play this, because this might have a little more to dig into here.
Okay, everyone, we're going to do a night hike and a test, and I need your guys' help a whole lot tonight. Okay. Not only are we looking for anything.
Oh God, it's an hour long. We're not going to be able to watch all that. I just want to see if we can get to that part. I'm going to have to scan ahead here and see.
This is where you need the Benny Hill music.
So I don't want to watch him hiking for an hour, but he's hiking in. I mean, right where the video starts, he's obviously at like a trailhead of some kind. And he's parking there. And then from there on, he's hiking in. So, I mean, he's obviously quite a bit in there.
And that's a big setup. That's the long game. If somebody's trying to prank him.
Yeah. I mean,
to be like, like how nervous you get just before you go to scare somebody.
Right.
So to think somebody's going to go out there and sit in the middle of the darkness. I don't know. Again, I don't know.
I just want to hear what's after that yell. Is this it? No, I don't think so. Maybe. Let's just play here and see what's going on.
There's an extra battery for it. That keeps it very stable. The iPhone, I've tried some stabilizers that have not worked well.
He sounds pretty relaxed, so obviously nothing's happened yet. I'm just trying to figure out where the action is on this clip, because, let's see, is this kind of getting there?
Drop that in the comment. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Okay, let's see. this kind of hill here is not really, we end up climbing up onto the old foundation of the building of, this is where the mill, this was their inlet, partial, it's still there.
Okay, let's keep going ahead. I just want to see if we can figure out where is that spot that it happens.
Also, what'd be interesting is you can hear the night creatures prevalently.
Yeah.
And so when the screech was there was none of the background noise.
Right. I mean, it's just,
so that in itself too is interesting.
My hat's off to anybody that goes out in the woods in the dark alone. I just think that's a lot of courage. Yeah, I don't know. I have to preview this. I'll put a link for this into the chats if you guys want to look at it more in depth and figure out where the actual action is on these or on this longer form video. It'd just be interesting to see what happened after the oh shoot thing. What did he
changed his britches?
Yeah, exactly. There's one big fudge stripe all the way to the car. Let's see. He hiked out in record time. But it's an interesting, who is this guy? T-Mac is the gentleman, and he's got, he doesn't have a huge channel, but obviously he's doing what he loves, and he's putting this stuff out there. So my hat's off to him. I mean, I there's no way I'd be out in the woods anywhere alone, in deep woods. I just wouldn't do it. It's just way too many things go wrong. And I've read way too many stories of what goes on in the deep woods. So it's like, nope, I'd be noping out of there. I'd be like, no.
You got a pretty mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the nightmare fuel right there, they say. But yeah, I've seen that movie. It's not good. So anyway, let's go to the next one from Sasquatch Chronicles. How did I miss it? There it is. This one is a longer one, so we're going to dig into this one. Hope you guys enjoyed that, though. Thanks, Wes, for letting us, use your blog and for letting us check out that video. That's very cool. And thank you, T-Mac, as well. That's awesome stuff. My hat's off to you. You're a braver person than I am. All right, we're going to go to Sasquatch Chronicles blog and go to April 24th. I watched it only for a few moments. A listener from Pennsylvania writes, I am the youngest of 6 siblings. I was born in September 1966. Did we read this one? Not really, I don't think. I don't think we did. I left it open. I didn't think we did. I looked at it yesterday and I was like, oh, this is way too long. So I guess we're reading it again. We're reading it again, folks. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. We lived in an old farmhouse that my father slowly remodeled. Yeah, we did. We read this one. I know we did. Never mind. We're not reading this one. I left it open. I apologize. That was my mistake. We must have jumped over to another one right away. And
blame it on Dave.
It's Dave. Darn it, Dave. All right. Let's go to Phantoms and Monsters. Hold on. Let me re-cue this up. Yeah, I know we read that one, so I don't want to revisit the same articles, but here we go. We're going to go to another wonderful site, and this is phantomsandmonsters.com, ladies and gentlemen, home of Mr. Lon Strickler and all his amazing work. You can find his published works. You can find links to his podcast, which is Phantoms and Monsters Radio, which is also his YouTube channel, so you can look for it out there, and make sure to subscribe and check out his channel and his. He does live streams out there as well, and oftentimes talks about many of these. So let's get into this. All right, here we go. This is the article from Phantoms and Monsters from April 6th, 2024. Chilling Bigfoot encounters, Mount Rushmore, and Ape Canyon. I didn't know that Mount Rushmore had a lot of Bigfoot experiences, but let's dig into this. It says the following accounts are some examples of harrowing Bigfoot Sasquatch encounters at well-known locations. One was a witness account sent to me about an encounter near Mount Rushmore, and the others involve incidents at the infamous Ape Canyon near Mount St. Helens. Hello, sir. I recently started reading your site after looking for information on Bigfoot in South Dakota. You asked for real-life encounters, and I hope this fits the bill. My family had a scary confrontation in 1992 while RVing. We camped near Wind Cave in National Park several times when I was a boy, but stopped going in that part of South Dakota after our experience with something unknown. We normally camped in the early summer, but for whatever reason, my father decided we'd go a few weeks before I went back to school. We always enjoyed going into Wind Cave and would spend a full day there. We'd then spend the rest of the week around the RV campground. This particular year, we camped further away from Wind Cave in the vicinity of Hill City, not far from Mount Rushmore. The area is surrounded by thick pine forest and very rugged. It was a Saturday night and very calm around our campsite. Many people had left during the day, so there were a few kids running around. Around 10:30 p.m., I decided to go to bed. I was bored, and my parents were entertaining another couple, and I laid down and turned the radio on while I drifted to sleep. The only thing I remember next is my mother making lots of noise while inside the RV. Well, I sat up and watched my father looking for something in a storage bin. The next thing I noticed was him holding his pistol. Well, I was wide awake now, wondering what was going on. I started to ask, but was quickly told to be quiet by both of them. They were standing by the door when suddenly something slammed into the back of the RV. I thought someone had hit us with a vehicle. The window in the back was smashed and the curtain was on the floor. I moved towards my parents when again something slammed into the back of the RV at the same time. A deep rumbling sound came from the same direction. I never thought my mother could scream so loud. My father raised the pistol and fired through the window opening, and we waited quietly for something to happen. Whatever it was must have run off. By that time, someone was yelling from outside wanting to know what was going on, and I think it was someone from the campground. My father went outside to talk to whoever it was. My mother was very scared and was visibly shaking. She just grabbed me and squeezed me tight. My father came into the RV and said that we were leaving. He grabbed whatever gear was outside, threw it in the RV, and we were off. None of us talked much as we drove home, which was about a 4-hour drive. A few days later, my mother told me what happened that night. My parents were just about ready to go to bed, and she said it was about 11:45 p.m., and she was cleaning up outside when she noticed something large on 2 legs run from behind the RV into the forest. My father told her it was probably a bear, and then he saw it duck out and then back into the woods. There wasn't much light other than that from the lantern and the back window from inside the RV. He told her it was no bear. By that time they were in the RV and heard deep guttural grunts coming from the creature. My father then slowly opened the door, and it was standing no more than 10 feet away, looking directly at him. He quickly slammed the door shut and went looking for the pistol. My father's never said much about whatever it was, but from his later descriptions, I believe he confronted a Bigfoot. He described it as covered head to toe with thick dark hair and a wide nose and piercing yellow eyes that glowed in the night, or in the light. He estimated the height at over 6 feet, and it weighed over 400 pounds, with huge arms and legs. And that's basically all he ever said. He refuses to talk to anyone else about it. We continued camping over the years, but we never went back to that area. I was looking for Bigfoot reports from South Dakota, and especially around the Mount Rushmore area. Wow. That was from, I don't know what this is. Okay, so there was from the Ape Canyon stories. And this says, Ape Canyon is actually a gorge along the northwest or northeast shoulder of Mount St. Helens in Washington state. Of course, the name Ape Canyon didn't come from just anywhere. The name refers to the supposed encounter between a group of miners and several ape men in 1924, an event eventually integrated into Bigfoot folklore. Fred Beck, one of the miners, claimed they shot and possibly killed at least one of the creatures. The death resulted in an attack on the miner's cabin, and according to Beck, the men had just settled down to sleep for the night when they were awakened by an attack on their cabin, during which the creatures bombarded it with rocks and tried to break in. The fighting continued all night long, but none of the men were seriously hurt. By morning, an eerie quiet had entered the camp, and as the men cautiously exited the cabin, they saw an ape man in the distance, and they shot at the beast several times, and it finally fell over the cliff into the canyon. It was the only one of their attackers they would see. The men packed their belongings in a hurry, leaving most things behind, and made their way home, promising each other not to speak of the incident to anyone. Well, the pact didn't last long because the story was leaked out, and within a few weeks it was reported in the July 16th, 1924 issue of the Oregonian, which dubbed the beasts the Ape Men of Mount St. Helens. Oh, thank you, Rick. Became a member. Nice job. Appreciate it. There was another mysterious incident in Ape Canyon that took place in 1950, and it involved world ski champion Jim Carter, who disappeared while on a ski trip in the canyon. He was with some companions and then went off by himself to take some photos, but only his camera case was ever found. Searchers later reported finding his ski tracks in the snow. Carter had apparently taken off at an incredible rate of speed, performing jumps and maneuvers that no skier would have taken unless he was very frightened or being pursued. One of the searchers reported an eerie feeling that he was being watched the whole time. Carter's disappearance remains a mystery. In June 27th, 28th, 1964 editions of the Longview Daily News, the following article appeared. Legendary Mount St. Helens ape men called legitimate. The legend of the ape men of Mount St. Helens returns like hay fever with summer weather. The story of the ape men of the beautiful conical mountain situated in the Cascade Range of the Southwest Washington is a favorite in the area, but it just may have some basis in fact. There is more basis to support it than Nepal's Yeti or Northern California's Bigfoot, and probably as much as Loch Ness Monster. Last summer, 2 different Portland groups who visited the region reported sighting the monsters, usually described as from 7 to 10 feet tall, hairy, and either white or beige colored. 3 persons in a car on a lonely forest road said they saw one of the creatures when it flashed across the headlight beams of their car near the wilderness area, which includes such places as Ape Canyon. A Portal couple fishing on the Lewis River south of the mountain saw a huge beige figure bigger than any human amble off into the brush. Old-timers aren't surprised, just amused. The Ape Men legend is actually older than the white man's habitation of the Pacific Northwest. It says Indian legend. Forestry employees have investigated many reports of the strange creatures. According to Indian legend, the apes were the ferocious Salatic Indians, a band of renegades much like giant apes in appearance, who lived like wild animals in the secluded caves of the Cascades. The first recorded encounter of the apes with the white men was in 1924. A group of 5 prospectors rushed into Kelso to report that a group of great ape-like creatures had attacked them in the middle of the night. The miners said that they had been working a mine at the east slopes of Mount St. Helens. During the daytime, they saw some of the apes and fired at them to halt an apparent attack. One of the apes appeared to have been hit and rolled into a deep ravine. That night, according to the account, the ape men hurled rocks into the cabin and danced and screamed until daylight. Then came the Great Ape Hunt of 1924. Law enforcement officers and a flock of newspaper men made up a posse that went into the area. Armed searchers fired at anything that moved, so the report went. And they returned to tell of finding huge footprints, but no apes. The legend grew from that point for several years and then subsided with only sporadic reports of traces of the apes. Responsible persons, experienced mountaineers, and skiers have given credence to the story. Bob Lee of Portland, the leader of the 1961 Himalayan expedition and advisor to last year's Himalayan expedition, I'm having trouble with that word, said last year he had a strange experience. Lee has never claimed to have seen the apes, but said there was something strange on the high slopes of the mountain. He was a member of a party that searched for Jim Carter, an experienced skier and mountaineer who vanished on the mountain in 1950. His disappearance remains a mystery. Somebody watched. At the time, Lee was a member of the Seattle Mountain Search and Rescue Unit, and he described the search for Carter as the most eerie experience I ever had. He said that every time he was cut off from the rest of the search party, he felt somebody was watching me. Carter, he said, had climbed the mountain with some companions on a warm, clear Sunday. He left the group to take a picture and said he would ski to the left of the group, and he was never seen again. His tracks, however, indicated that he suddenly took off down the mountain in a wild, death-defying run that no experienced skier would make, unless he was pursued, Lee said. The track went in the direction of Ape Canyon, and no trace of Carter or his equipment was found, although the area was combed for 2 weeks. Lee recalled the stories of about 25 persons who claim they had encounters with the monsters during a 20-year period. The canyon named for the apes is a lonely, ominous spot in a wild area. It extends to the point near Ape Cave, thought to be the longest unitary lava tube in the world. There has been many reports of footprints in the area, and some are described as being about 18 inches long and seemingly human. God, that's a big print. Oof. Unless these creatures are really fuzzy throwbacks, the Lost Indian tribe theory seems most likely to some of the fans of the mystery. It has given rise to some suggestions, one of which is to leave well enough alone. The government might take over and shove benefits and subsidies at them, retroactive to the Ice Age. And that, as well as costing a lot of money, would ruin a very good legend. Well, that's kind of a weird thing. Beck detailed his claims in a 22-page book written in 1967 titled, I Fought the Ape Men of Mount St. Helens. Jeez. I'm sorry, my ability to pronounce words tonight is less than robust. In which he identified the creatures as mystical beings from another dimension. Beck explained that he had experienced psychic premonitions and visions his entire life, of which the ape men were only one component. William Halliday, director of the Western Speleological Survey, claimed in his 1983 pamphlet, Ape Cave and Mount St. Helens Apes, that the miners' assailants were actually local youth throwing rocks. Really? Which camp counselors bringing kids on hiking trips to the canyon also tried to impart. In July 2013, the Dark Waters Paranormal Group claimed on their Facebook page that Ape Canyon and remnants of the original cabin had been found, and they held back directions to the location. All surface evidence of the cabin is gone. A 1936 trail map told us that one could see the cabin from the trail, but that was only 12 years after the incident. In 1968, Fred Beck had heard that the cabin had burnt to the ground. In 1972, hikers told Peter Byrne that they had visited the cabin. Today, it's rock, steep slope, and trees. The nature of the site carries a high probability of a very little human impact, and the area has never been commercially logged as there are so few trees and these are very difficult to get out. The danger of traversing the area makes a high rate of human campsites unlikely. I got to watch the time here because we're running low. I guess we're almost done. The excitement began with the discovery of the wire, about 16-inch long with a coiled loop at one end, like for a baling or a handle, sticking vertically in the ground. The excitement grew with a nail, a shank nail about 4 inches long. Jumping up and down and yelling and vigorous handshaking ensued with the spoon, a single spoon, just an old spoon, about 6 inches underground. But this was the clincher. We were starting to find more and more nails and finally got to a rotten horizontal log, again about 6 inches underground, with the nails driven into it. As best we can tell, we probably found the long 20-foot side of the cabin, guessing the uphill side. What do you think of all that, Nace?
Wow. Uh, yeah, I, like the missing 411s.
Uh-huh.
When, especially like when you have prominent areas that have more occurrences than usual, something's doing it.
Right.
So, but the one thing that made me think about it is when they said the signs look like he abruptly made a course change in a death-defying manner, you would think if they were able to see the trails from his skis, then would you not see
the prints?
If something was pursuing him.
Right. That's a good point.
Unless, of course, he heard the scream and he too just said, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we just don't know. But whatever the case, he went missing and continues apparently to have never been discovered as far as his body or whatever. So, but that doesn't really surprise me. I mean, it wouldn't be even up here where I live in the north tip of Idaho. I mean, you could hide a body 5 feet away from you and you'd never see it in some of these places.
Allegedly.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, not that I've tested that theory, but I'm just saying I know how deep and how rugged this terrain can get, and there's some places you just can't go without special gear. I mean, you would need ropes and harnesses and an ability to do those kind of things, but again, I don't know. I'm not a mountaineer, obviously. My mountaineering days are way behind me. In fact, they never exist.
Well, and the desire to do it.
Yes,
on top of all of that.
So I think the Ape Canyon stories are pretty fascinating. I don't buy that it was a bunch of kids throwing rocks all night and screaming and hollering. Kids can be mischievous and stuff, but it's not like there was a campground somewhere real near. This is on the eastern slope of Mount St. Helens. This is pretty rugged terrain. Are somebody just letting kids run wild on the hills? That seems pretty short-sighted if that was the case. So.
And if they're kids like I know, there's going to be like rappers and soda cans and
yeah. Yep, and singing and probably a few beers in back in those days. I'm just saying, but I don't know, pretty crazy stuff. But I have no doubt there's some pretty freaky things going on in Mount St. Helens, or at least there were, probably largely prior to the volcano erupting, which pretty much destroyed a whole side of that mountain, and wiped out forest for, miles around. It was just flattened, these old forests. So I don't know what the area looks like now, but my God,
was that in the 80s?
Yeah, that was the 80s. Yeah. Yep. That's pretty creepy stuff. That old extinct volcano just suddenly blew its top, like literally blew out a side of the mountain. There's images online, if you haven't seen it, of this distant camera shooting that scene, and you can see the mountain just bulge suddenly on that side, and then just boom. It blew like a bomb. It was just crazy. So, yeah.
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature, absolutely. But, Nace, we've rolled the course of the show, brother.
Wow.
We did already, a whole episode already. Yep. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Wow, right.
I'm doing that for a cannabis game. So if you want to come back, revisit the episode, share it with your friends, and every time Naysay says, wow.
You got to hit the bong.
Sure.
Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you got to keep following Naysay. How can people stay in touch with you, brother?
I've been on Twitter a lot, Twitter Spaces.
Okay.
And you can find me, The Megaphone Man, on, well, no, X now, I guess it's called.
Oh, sure.
And also Hilarious Naysay.
Hi, and then Hilarious Naysay. Gotcha.
Yeah, like hilarious, but H-I-G-H. Hilarious.
Of course. Of course.
Brought to you by cannabis.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you making the time to come on with me, brother. It's been great having you back.
Oh, I was delighted to get the call. And whenever you need me, don't ever hesitate. I'm here for you, brother. And remember, you can find Brent in many different areas and enjoy him, because I've enjoyed him over the 8 years now, 9 years.
8 years. Yep. The portal's been around for 8 years. 8 years.
Can't hit that one. That was a wowzers. That wasn't the same one.
That one doesn't count. All right, brother. And to all of you guys, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the journey, as always. We hope if you're new to the show, you get subscribed. We'd love to have you stick around and make this another part of your weekly world. We do live streams on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern. They do get uploaded to BitChute as well, but it's after the fact. They're not live on BitChute. I've not set that up. Maybe I should look into that, but I don't know. I do little expansions when I can. But anyway, thank you so much for all the love and support, and thank you to our channel members. Special thank you to our wonderful mods on all the different channels. You guys are amazing. Really appreciate all that you're doing. And, we've got great communities, so it's not like, we've got a lot of bouncer issues going on, but still, you guys are great. And thank you to Chucky and our Discord mods. You guys are awesome as well. And hope you guys enjoy it. Spread the word. Post these episodes around. And I guess that's about it. So remember, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. And Naysay, stick around. I'll talk to you in just a minute. So I'm going to roll the credits. Good night, everybody.
Toodles. Share the giggles.